Good morning, dear student. I am Dr. Sachin R. Gengze, Professor and Head, Department of Electronics Engineering at Walchand Institute of Technology, Solapur. In today's session, we are going to have a brief introduction to what is called as an electronic commerce. The learning outcomes for today's session are, after watching this video, you student will able to explain what is electronic commerce. You can explain also the scope of electronic commerce and can compare traditional commerce and e-commerce or electronic commerce. Before understanding what is electronic commerce or popularly called as e-commerce, first let us understand what is a commerce. Commerce is nothing but exchange of goods or services for money or in kind, usually on a scale which is large and require transportation from place to place, and this place to place may be across the city or a state or across the national boundaries may also be. In traditional commerce, which we as a humankind is undergoing since last so many decades or centuries, in this traditional commerce, most of the transaction processing is manual. Then the accessibility of buying and selling is limited. It is for the limited time. We can go and shop only when the shop is open. Then the customer interaction, the interaction of the customer and vendor is mostly face to face, and the scope of the commerce is limited to a restricted geographical area. That is what is about a traditional commerce. Then what is electronic commerce or e-commerce? Now e-commerce is a process of buying, selling, transferring, serving or exchanging. So there are many processes involved. It involves buying, selling, transferring and serving. But what? Products, services or information. And how it is done? It is done through computer network including internet. And then the devices used for this are either computer or digital devices like smartphone. So that is what is called as an e-commerce. E-commerce can also be defined as conducting business communication and transaction over network through computers or the digital devices. So the important aspect of e-commerce is that first of all, it is conducted over a network like internet, and secondly, it involves computer and smart digital devices as the end devices used. There is one more term which is used very commonly and popularly, is called as an e-business. Actually, people are using these two words, e-commerce and e-business, very loosely, but e-business is a bit different than the e-commerce. E-business or electronic business refers to the broader definition of e-commerce. When we extend the scope of e-commerce by including some of the aspects like serving customer, collaborating with the business partner, conducting e-learning and conducting electronic transaction within an organization, then that can be called as an e-business. In e-business, it is not necessary that there is always a money transaction. There can be information transaction, there can be e-learning, and then all this is coming under the umbrella of e-business. It means that the changes in organization, business and function processes with the application of digital technology, that can also be called as an e-business. Then coming back to e-commerce, what is the extent of e-commerce? Basically, when we are talking about the e-commerce, the product being sold or bought is either physical or a digital. The process of buying the product may be physical or may be digital, and the delivery of the product may be in a physical form or a digital form. So based upon what type of product it is, what type of process being followed and how it is being delivered, there can be number of combinations as far as this e-commerce is concerned. In traditional business, which we are doing since long, all these are physical. The product is physical, the process is physical, and we are actually going to the shop and buying it, so delivery is also physical. And this kind of traditional business or traditional organizations are called as the brick and mortar organization. Then in case of e-commerce, what we are trying to do is we are trying to digitize any of or all of these aspects, like the product or service may be digital, or the process may be digital, or the delivery may be digital, then that is called as an e-commerce. Now, if all are digitized, then it is called as the pure electronic commerce. Otherwise, it is called as a partial electronic commerce. Then companies which are involved only in e-commerce, then all the aspects, they are using all the aspects as purely digital or electronic, then these kind of organizations are called as the virtual organization. But as we know in today's world, it is not possible to digitize all the aspects like the product, the delivery and the transaction. Then in that case, some of the activities are done electronically and some of the activities are done physically. So this kind of hybrid model is actually called as the click and mortar organization. If you remember, the complete manual model is called as the brick and mortar organization. That brick is now replaced by the click, so it indicates a hybrid model of e-commerce. The basic idea of electronic commerce is to automate or digitize as many processes as possible. What are the typical applications of e-commerce? We are surrounded by the e-commerce every day. We are using some or other applications of e-commerce, but let us list some of the popular applications of e-commerce. The first one is, of course, the online marketing and purchasing. We are now very much exposed to Amazon and Flipkart and Snapdeal. The second one is the retail and wholesale. So there can be a retail and wholesale business using e-commerce. Finance is again a greater domain where e-commerce is helping people. Manufacturing, then there can be online auction. One more popular application again which we are using is e-banking. Then there can be online publishing. The books are being published online instead of course, along with the print copy. The books are now available in electronic form. Kindle is one of the best application for that, and that is called as an online publication. And lastly, there is an online booking and e-ticketing. We know that we can now book our ticket, railway ticket or flight ticket using IRCTC. Then we can have the movie tickets also online using applications like Book My Show. So all are the typical applications of electronic commerce. So let us pause the video over here and please try to differentiate between the two business model that we have discussed. Is one is called as the brick and mortar and other one is called as a click and mortar organization. So dear student, please pause the video for some time and think of this answer. What is the difference between brick and mortar and click and mortar organization? And you can give an example also. What is an example of brick and mortar organization and what are the different click and mortar organization that you can see in today's world? I think you are now ready with the answer of the difference between brick and mortar and click and mortar organization. So to summarize, let us have a quick look at the comparison between the traditional commerce and e-commerce. As far as the processing of transaction is concerned, in case of traditional commerce, the processing is manual. In case of e-commerce, it is some of the process or all of the process is automated. Most important time is that the traditional commerce is available only for the limited time. When the shop is open, you can go and shop. However, the e-commerce is available 24/7 by 365. You can log in to Amazon site and you can buy whenever you want to buy. Customer interaction. In case of traditional commerce, the interaction between the vendor and customer is face to face. In case of e-commerce, the interaction, we don't see the actual vendor, but the interaction is through screen to face. The scope of business as far as the traditional commerce is concerned is restricted to a particular geographical area. You can go, you can roam around the city and you can do your shopping. But in case of e-commerce, it is worldwide reach. Even if I want to buy something from other nations also or other countries also, I can do that using e-commerce. The resource focus as far as the traditional commerce is concerned is on the supply side, and for e-commerce, it is on the demand side. The most important aspect of e-commerce which we like all is that there is a lot of unified information available as far as the e-commerce is concerned. For example, if I want to go, I can go on to the Amazon and Flipkart and I can compare many models of, suppose I want to buy a pair of shoes, and then I can compare many models of pair of shoes on e-commerce. As far as the traditional commerce is concerned, no such unified or uniform platform is available. The information available is also less. And lastly, as far as the marketing is concerned, in case of traditional commerce, it is only one-way marketing. In case of e-marketing or e-commerce, there can be multiple way of the marketing. So, dear student, in today's lecture, we had a brief introduction to the e-commerce, and as we know, the growth of e-commerce is catching up. And this is one of the graph which I want to show how e-commerce has progressed, or how there is a growth of e-commerce. On the x-axis you can see that there is a year, you can see that there is year 2019 also, and then there can be expectation or forecasting how the e-commerce is going to grow in next couple of years. And on y-axis you can see that worldwide sale in US billion dollars, and you can see that there is a tremendous growth of the e-commerce, and this is what is attracting many people towards the e-commerce. So the references for the today's sessions are two books. One is Information Technology for Management by Turban, what we know, and the second one is Information System by Ralph Stair. Thank you, dear student, for patient listening. Thank you.